about 5'5" and weighs about 132 pounds, was then slammed into a car, thrown to the ground, and punched in the face. According to the complaint, Deputy Godber pinned him to the ground with his knee on Loyola's back and placed handcuffs tightly on his wrists. Loyola told the officers he had done nothing wrong, and Deputy Godber stated, "He doesn't know how to be fucking quiet," the complaint alleges. Deputy Godber's report to the magistrate on February 22 of last year tells a different narrative, reporting that Loyola's speech was slurred, and he was being violent. Giovani Lola was intoxicated and arguing with family members so loud inside his residence it could be heard from the public roadway, it says. Godber's report says Dep. Godber tried to detain Loyola where he immediately became combative, pushing Dep.
So I am attorney Michael Eline, as you guys know, and that is sort of the end of a video that I'm going to show you the full video of. And I know it's kind of like one of those weird, goofy AI videos, but it's really about during this whole incarceration period where Chile was away. I tried to do some videos explaining that basically handcuffs are torture cuffs, that they cause extreme discomfort, and in some cases they can cause you to lose a body part, in this case your hands. And of course people don't want to believe me. They'll try to say that I'm anti-law enforcement, which is, you couldn't be further from the truth, but truth is still truth. And so one of the things that I try to teach you guys on my show is critical thinking. Critical skills are very, very important when you're trying to understand things. And unfortunately, our public school system doesn't want critical skills thinkers. They want a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers. And so when you come onto my show, I want you to put on your critical skills thinking hat, and we'll get into this. But first, I'm going to go ahead and give you a little intro for those people who don't know me.
To another edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel.
All right. And so a lot of you people may or may not know me, because this is a new time. I'm normally not on here at 10 o'clock in the morning, but I have a lot of work to do today. I am a lawyer licensed in California and Texas. I do catastrophic injury claims, but I'm also an activist. I support the Bill of Rights, and I'm a natural law guy, which means that I support John Locke, the original Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. And I believe, and I saw in the genius of our founding fathers. And of course, they were not without their faults and things of that nature, but radical ideas, a constitutional republic and free speech and the Bill of Rights. And what we just saw earlier was an arrest made by a cop against this guy named Giovani. We're going to get into the video in a minute, but the premise of the video here is, look, torture cuffs are torture, and that means handcuffs. And we've seen people just ostracize and attack Chile de Castro because he talks about handcuffs and how they are torture, and just the whole process of jailing someone over something as ridiculous as a traffic infraction, or for filming police, how that can cause post-traumatic stress disorder, how that can cause psychological problems. And in some cases, it can lead to having your hands amputated, or in his case, I think he had an ulnar nerve that was damaged, which can give you like claw hand. And people just laughed at him and made fun of him. Mainly Canadians, of course, because they believe anything the government says or does is obviously good. And they, for some reason, I don't quite understand it, but it's almost like communist China 2.0. But for other people who are critical thinkers, I was thinking to myself, this cannot go unmatched. This cannot go without a response. So there has got to be a better way, guys, than putting people in these metal devices that we call torture cuffs. And when you're locking someone up, they're an accused. They're not even convicted. And so we're going to get into this video really quick, because I want to show you an example of what we mean when we talk about torture cuffs. And again, I know this isn't going to be a big show today. Probably most of you guys are still asleep from last night, but I can at least make some shorts out of this and share this with everyone else. So take a look at this bad chicken.
Lola got out of jail in Birmingham on February 28. His left wrist was in great pain. His fingertips had turned grey, according to his federal lawsuit. He went to Christ Health Center where doctors said he would need an operation. It was real painful, said Loyola, who lives in Pinson, just outside Birmingham. It's horrible. I don't
Really
wish
like
that
the
pain on
music.
nobody. It's just really unexpected. I have no words for it. First, they removed a few fingertips. 4 operations later, doctors had removed his entire hand. Now he's suing a deputy with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, saying he lost his hand from overly tight handcuffs. He alleges he was handcuffed for hours with the circulation in his wrists obstructed.
Yeah, and so that's part of the torture. So if you piss off the wrong law enforcement officer, part of the torture is to put the cuffs on real tight. And of course, they got your hands behind your back. So you've got all this area here that's being pinched off, but all the blood flow just, goes away to your fingertips. And ultimately, you'll have to have your hand chopped off. And if you don't have your hand chopped off, you're still going to be suffering from permanent nerve damage. And so the catastrophic injury cases that I take are typically going to involve a police shooting, prison transport, the prison bus where the prison bus driver is on narcotics or drunk or whatever, and they get in a crash. Obviously, the police shooting cases are big ones. Those are the cases that me and Alan Beck take. And then Second Amendment rights. And then, of course, the First Amendment rights cases in the public schools in California, where the school teachers are secretly transitioning children and then refusing to tell the parents, keeping it a secret from them. And then when the parents complain about it, Child Protective Services takes the kids away from the parents, claiming that the parents are violent because they want to affirm that kind of stuff. So those are typically the kind of cases that involve, fundamental unalienable rights, typically natural rights type of cases, right? Because we're activists. We believe in natural law. We believe in constitutional unalienable rights in the republic, and that the public servant should be bound by the chains of the Constitution. So Press with Rancor says, I have permanent brain damage in my hands from handcuffs and hence the tremors. And yeah, and I know about that, and that happens, man. And I'm really sorry that happened to you. And people wonder why so many Americans hate cops, and I think it's terrible that it's come to that. And I always try and remind them that you should hate the cops less and hate more the politicians who hire them and then throw them under the bus for political expediency to hold on to their jobs, because typically it's the politicians that are passing these laws in ordering the police to use heavy-handed enforcement. So I just think people need to start using critical thinking and start really, really thinking deeply about what they're trying to achieve. Now, Shulamite, thank you, Shulamite, for joining me today. This is typically a different time for me. Normally, I try to do them late at night, but I have so much work to do today, and I haven't been feeling well the last few days. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try to get this out of the way. I'll show you the rest of the video in a minute. Now, DJ Plath said, what happened to innocent until proven guilty? Well, unfortunately, you have a lot of large corporations, and you have a prison industrial complex. And again, we have more prisoners in our jails here in this country than they have over in China that has more people. And we see people getting arrested for petty offenses and nonsense. We see the law enforcement has historically targeted Black people and minorities, but basically anyone who's poor. And typically the way they get you is on a misdemeanor or an infraction, and then they can use those as priors, right, later when they finally get you for the big felony. And they're, what are they getting, like $1,000 a day to keep you locked up? And that's creating more government unionized jobs. And of course, we know those unions vote for a certain political party 99% of the time. And so that political party will then empower them and give them raises at your expense and build more prisons. And so I just want people on my channel to be more critical thinkers and stop thinking in terms of us against them as far as divided political spectrums, and look at just the great Leviathan and the power structures. Because if you can build your own parallel systems and sort of extricate yourself from those corporatized systems, you'll be around people who are good people and less likely to ever get involved or have any kind of confrontations with any of these other people that are outside of your system. Now, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. Thanks a lot, Lenny Malley. I appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and watch the rest of this bad chicken. And again, I know it's an AI. It's kind of a joke of a video. but it still is going to demonstrate why people like me and Chili DeCastro think that handcuffs are torture cuffs. We don't think it, we know it.
He argues he asked for help loosening the handcuffs and was ignored by the sheriff's deputies. The suit, filed in federal court in April, claims deputies used excessive force and that his civil rights were violated. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Department declined to comment due to pending litigation. Late on the evening of February 16, 2020, Loyola, who is described in his complaint as a young Hispanic man, was sitting in his mother's trailer in Pinson watching television when deputies knocked on the door, according to the complaint. According to a report filed by the deputy 6 days later, Deputy Godber, no first name available, and 2 other deputies were dispatched to the trailer park on Pinson Valley Parkway after getting multiple calls reporting gunshots and a report of 2 men fighting outside and unloading or loading large weapons. Loyola, 25 at the time, says he was not involved in any fighting and there was no fight, although his brothers may have argued outside of his mother's trailer. Plaintiff was not fighting anyone.
So where's the body cam footage, right? Did you guys notice that? Like, it's just their word against his. And it's always amazing to me how the body cam footage tends to disappear, when somebody has a lawsuit against the police. And that's why I always tell you guys, always record every interaction you have with the police. And at all costs, don't get pulled over. If you're in a car, don't get pulled over. Don't do it. But don't engage in consensual encounters with them, because all you're doing is engaging in an investigation against yourself. And I'll teach you some methods to do that, to where you don't come off like an a-hole, because obviously, the guy's got a gun or the gal's got a gun. So you don't want to come off in such a way that might encourage them to maybe shoot you, which has happened, or to throw a throwdown weapon in your car, plant drugs on you, which we've seen happen numerous times now, thanks to YouTube and thanks to you First Amendment auditors exposing it. A lot of people never believed it, that you grew up on 1 Adam 12, until they saw it with their own eyes. And of course, we know that's why they erase body cam footage. And of course, we know that's why they really hate First Amendment auditors like Chili more than anything. Let's go ahead and keep watching this.
No guns, nor did he hear or see guns that evening, the complaint states. He said he answered the door to the deputies and asked them what was wrong. Deputy Godber, without answering and without asking permission to enter the home, reached inside the doorway, grabbed plaintiff by the wrist and jerked him outside the home and down the steps, the complaint says. Loyola, who is about 5'5" and weighs about 132 pounds, was then slammed into a car, thrown to the ground, and punched in the face. According to the complaint, Deputy Godber pinned him to the ground with his knee on Loyola's back and placed handcuffs tightly on his wrists. Loyola told the officers he had done nothing wrong, and Deputy Godber stated, he doesn't know how to be fucking quiet, the complaint alleges. Deputy Godber's report to the magistrate on February 22 of last year tells a different narrative, reporting that Loyola's speech was slurred, and he was being violent. Giovani Lola was intoxicated and arguing with family members so loud inside his residence it could be heard from the public roadway, it says. Godber's report says Dep. Godber tried to detain Loyola, where he immediately became combative, pushing Dep.
So that was the final video. You got to see the whole thing from beginning to end. And I know it's just like stupid AI, but it kind of gives you the idea of what went down. Basically, if you can ignore the stupid videos and stuff that were in there, it proves everything that Chili and I have been telling you guys, that torture cuffs are torture, and they do lead to hand amputations, and it happens all the time, all across the country. And so those are the kinds of cases that I take. So y'all who are calling me saying, you want to sue your neighbor for small claims, or police officer got you upset and arrested you and you got released the same day, those are cases that my firm probably won't be able to handle for you, because we're just not set up for those types of cases. But it doesn't mean that I won't try and help you find someone. But what I would appreciate is if you don't get upset at me and call me a fraud and all these names, because I'm not able to help with every single case. Unfortunately, everybody has their own type of law they practice. And mine is a specialty practice that's based on catastrophic injuries, brain injuries, for example, amputation, police shootings, Second Amendment rights cases where you acted in self-defense, and now you've got some woke prosecutor trying to charge you with murder, even though it's on videotape that you were being shot at and you returned fire and defended your family, that kind of stuff. Those are more the types of stuff that we do. And then, of course, car accidents and truck accidents. So But it doesn't mean, again, that I don't want to help you and I don't want to hear what your problem is. It just means that you got to understand, guys, I can't do everything. I'm not a handyman. And if you want to hire a handyman, you're going to get a handyman result. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But one of the things that I do want to encourage all of you to do when you do interact with police is to always try to be civil and not swear and not curse, because as a jury comes back and looks at footage or hears what went down, they always assume the person who is swearing to be the aggressor. And that's just human nature, especially with certain types of jurors. It just depends on their background. But as a general rule, that's something that you'll be dealing with as an attorney. Now, hey, Chad Crum, good seeing you, man. Good seeing you, SWE Observer. Thank you guys for joining me. Looks like I got some new members too in my portal here. Chad Crum, I really love having you guys here. So hopefully now you guys understand, why people like me get offended when people try to laugh at me and criticize me for talking about handcuffs and calling them torture cuffs. It's because I know that they're torture cuffs. And if you even have them on loose, right? Even if those handcuffs are on loose, because your hands are behind your back and you're squished into a seat, they can become tight while you're being transported and ultimately cut off the blood flow to your fingers. And in addition to the other torture techniques that police will use, is they'll hot box you in the back of their car with no air conditioning on. We know that's a very common practice. So the stress from that alone can cause your wrists and your blood pressure to raise, and that can also cut off the blood flow to your fingers and ultimately cause you to suffer a hand amputation. So I just want you all to understand, especially guys who are cops who joined for the right reasons, because I do believe there are a lot of law enforcement and peace officers who joined because they wanted to protect and defend and uphold the Constitution. Hey, I'm one of them, man. I tried out for the sheriff's department years ago, and I thought it was going to be a cool idea, but ultimately I didn't do it. But I just know that there are people out there, people who become lawyers because they want to help people, not just because they want to make money. I do believe there are people out there like that. I'm one of them. And so I just want y'all to, like you guys that are out there that are LEOs, to think about that, when you're considering arresting someone, that your job is to do justice, not just to raise revenue. And that if you're being pressured to make arrests and raise revenue and having that tied to your bonus, which we know that that's how it's done, it's just not called a quota anymore, that maybe you should consider a different line of work, or maybe you should consider becoming a whistleblower, because I do handle whistleblower cases and I could represent you in that. And then for your other people, who are having smaller type cases where you're getting arrested, locked up for a couple of days, there's not like a hospital report. You're telling me you've got psychological injuries, but you've never been to a psychologist. Do yourself a favor. Get the psychological treatment and care that you need. Get a medical report that ties your injuries to the actual arrest and the confinement. Because coming back to me a year or two later before the statute's going to expire or might already be expired and telling me all these things happened, but having no medical evidence to back it up, is basically costing me about 20 to 30 minutes of my time to take your call, when I could be helping someone who's already been through my course and understands what you have to do as an activist to be able to demand and protect your rights. So, because a lot of this has to do with front loading, right, guys? You have to prepare before you go out there. It's like being a Marine, right? Like, you got to know, okay, where are we going? Are we going to go into a jungle environment or a desert environment? So supply has to set us up with the right gear to be able to do that. And so you have to arm yourself with the right type of law to be able to deal with the situation, the legal scenario that you're entering into. So these are things that can be helped by attending one of my classes or checking out some of my private videos on my channel. Now, yeah, Tom, and they do hurt like hell. Tom Shaw says they hurt like hell, and they do. And even when they're on loose, like I said, there are many ways that they can become tight. And, we know that a lot of times you have like these sadistic cops that'll just leave you back there and hotbox you, where your blood pressure raises, and ultimately you could have a heart attack or a stroke. And we've seen it happen. And my law firm represents people like that. Wrongful death cases where someone suffers an aneurysm after they got their head slammed into a police car. Happens all the time. And so, especially down in, in San Diego and National City, you'll see stuff like that happening. And then podunk police departments out in the middle of nowhere where they've recycled bad cops from other areas, and they send them out to BFE thinking they're going to get rid of them. And they learned their lesson, and they just go right back to doing the same thing. Why? Well, because when you don't punish someone for violating rights, they're emboldened, guys. Think about that. Come on. I mean, you violate the law and the police just say, go ahead, keep doing it. There's no consequences. That's going to be the consequence. More crime and more problems for all of you guys. So now that's right. DJ Plast, you must be one of those cappers or runners from the old school, but no, it is true, DJ. You gotta, whenever you get in a car accident or anything like that, you always got to take an ambulance, not just because you need to get yourself stabilized, but because it creates an official document that ties you to the accident scene or the incident, right? And it also shows no break in the chain. So an adjuster or the city planners can't come back later, right, and say, hey, well, you went after the accident, went and played soccer, and that's what happened. No, that takes away that argument. So yeah, DJ Plast, really, really great statement, great comment. And so, yeah, and that's right. And it's funny because I actually have handled quite a few police cases where law enforcement on both sides, where I represent the cop who are there in a work-related injury, or the cop causes an accident and then they lie about it and try to pretend like they didn't do it, erase their tapes, but we were able to get tapes from a nearby business, or, you know what I mean? Something else like that. So that's kind of where you got to go with this stuff. If you're in an accident, you got to really start thinking. And the other thing you want to do is never admit liability or fault. Always just give name, rank, and serial number, and get your lawyer on the phone. Hand the phone to the cop and have them talk to your attorney if it's going to have to be that way. But yeah, you do want to get a police report. And typically in California, party one would be the at-fault party. So if you get a copy of your police report and the cop has you listed as party one, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get a lawyer to take your case. All right. Just keep that in mind as well. But yeah, hey, Ralph Riley, good seeing you, brother. And he's pissed at me for doing verticals. Dude, don't do that, man. I mean, I'm just trying to get as many people as I can on the streams, Ralph. But I'll break it up. I'll do some horizontals and some verticals because I don't want to lose Ralph. He's one of my faves. I've had Ralph on my channel before. He's really cool. He's got a totally different perspective about natural law than some people. And I definitely invite those different perspectives. So everybody, just so you understand, in recap, torture cuffs are torture. When police officers put those torture cuffs on you and they're loose at the time, they can get tight by virtue of the fact that you're in the back of a car with your hands compressed behind your back, by virtue of the fact from stress and blood pressure causing your capillaries and everything to expand, which can make them tight, which can cut off blood flow to your fingers and ultimately result in nerve damage and the amputation of your hands. And I am a hand amputation attorney. I've represented many people who have had their hands lost from handcuffs, as well as missing digit cases from, little kids, sticking their fingers in escalators or getting your finger stuck or your arm stuck in an elevator door that's going up or down that doesn't have the right technology or it has some defective part. So those are the types of cases that I handle. They're very rewarding for me, especially when you lost a breadwinner in your family and I'm able to help you provide for your family with my legal expertise. But you guys all have to know that I don't do advertising for that kind of crap on my channel. I talk about police abuse and activism. So I just want everybody to understand, like again and again and again, I keep telling you guys this, I handle motorcycle accidents. I have a very strong presence in the biker community, the motorcycle community. I handle cases involving public servants gone wild. And more than anything, I'm just an activist. So the things that I talk about on my channel are things more about things that I like personally. And I like people like you guys that are auditors and whatnot who try to hold public servants accountable, because I'm not able to do that all day long, but I can do some stuff and I can do quite a bit of damage to these scumbags in court. And so if I'm able to teach y'all how to protect your rights and uphold your rights and protect your families from a legal perspective, I'm now more likely going to be able to help you when you do have a serious problem. And that's when you come to me. Now, when you guys have smaller problems, other issues, even if it's not in California or Texas, you can still reach out to me, because I do have a network of patriotic attorneys that I recommend. For example, I recommend Southern Law Drawl. I think he's in Louisiana. I can't remember, but I think he would be a great lawyer for a DUI. And he called it right on the Chili de Castro case. He wasn't one of these guys who just jumped on the anti-Chili bandwagon. So because of this experience that we all had together, we also got an opportunity to recognize people who are seeking justice as opposed to people who are just filled with hate and bloodlust. And so I hope you see the difference now. And I hope that you other people on the other side who are filled with hate and bloodlust will always remember to call me when one of your family members gets thrown in prison unlawfully or unjustly, or when you're falsely arrested or unjustly shot or abused by a public servant or by Child Protective Services or by a scumbag public school teacher who's a sexual deviant. I want to know that you're going to be the one who calls me, because you know that I'm not going to do what you did to Chili, because you know that I'm going to give you a good shot and I'm not going to hold any of that stuff against you, because that's what somebody who cares about their country does. And so I'm grateful that I had this opportunity to give you an observation of what loyalty is and what justice is and what staying the course is. My father always taught me to be defined in everything you do. Even if people hate you, at least they'll respect you. And so hopefully that everybody has seen that lesson today. And hopefully everybody now understands that I never did this. I never got a dime from Chili. I know that he offered to give me money at some point and I refused it. And so this was for me an activist exercise and an opportunity to teach you all a little bit about the law and how to keep it and how to keep yourselves out of trouble. So I'm going to look in the sidebar and see if there's any questions I can answer. And if not, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day and maybe go grab myself a steak or something before I'm forced by Bill Gates to eat fake meat, right? All right. Now, DJ Plass says the vertical is our YouTube thing. Well, here's what's going on, guys. So it looks like YouTube is starting to favor verticals because they're trying to compete with TikTok. Now, the old school people in my streams, like Ralph Riley, they like the horizontal view. But anybody that's like under 50, they're all watching vertical. So what's happening is when I just do my horizons only, I'm picking up maybe 20 or 30 viewers. And when I do my vertical, sometimes I'll get like 300 or 400. And I'll get a lot of new viewers who are patriots. And so because what I'm trying to do is get patriots, people who support the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And I desperately do want to keep my old school folks like Ralph because they're the foundation. But I also want to get the younger folks who want to learn a little bit because they're not teaching this stuff in schools. I mean, our plagiarism run public university system, it's just like a big DEI affirmative action fest. It's all about safe spaces and politicizing children's minds. They're not learning anything. So if you really want to learn stuff, you got to come here. So, but like right now, see, like Ralph, we're getting like 75 to 80. If I had it on Horizon, we might be looking around 40. So, but I'm still going to keep my promise to you, Ralph, and I'll still do horizontal ones with y'all. Because you got to keep your word, man. So I got you, man. 100%. Now, hey, Gloria Ad, I'm really glad that you showed up today. And that's right. Lenny Malley says that, remember that every one of us has civic duties. And so that's why, somebody was like, oh, Elon, you're a legend, for supporting Chile and all this. And I'm the first person to say, not really, guys. I'm just doing my civic duty. And I'm hoping that if you guys do want to give me credit, here's what I want. I want you to start attending your local board meetings. I want you to start going to the local school board and start listening to what these outraged parents have to say about what these freshly graduated people from Columbia and Berkeley are doing to your children's brains. I want you to start getting active. I want you to start going to polls and be a poll watcher and watch these people as they're running these ballots through the machines 3 or 4 times a piece. I want you to observe what's really going on. I want you to watch those mailboxes when these other people from the other side show up and start throwing 50 and 60 envelopes into the mailbox when it's a felony if you put more than one in, and watch cops standing around and not doing a thing about it. I want you to get active so you can see with your own eyes. What really got me, guys, is, look, I don't want to be on a soapbox too long, but what really got me is when I started getting into cruise ship law and I started representing parents with children who had been abused by cruise ship employees. I'm not going to say the R word, but you know what I'm talking about, in like broom closets, or women who were wearing bikinis who were R-worded by employees they hired from like Middle Eastern countries who think that women who wear bikinis are prostitutes. And so they have every right to abuse them. And we see that happening all over Western Europe right now with their newly arrived refugees. So, I've seen it all and I know what's going on out there, guys. Now, Ralph says the vertical is about facial recognition. Hey, dude, that might be, but here's what else it's about. That facial recognition stuff, man, the Chinese have gotten so good because of the face masking that they can literally recognize you by your gait, by the way you walk. So, man, it's going to be tough. And they even say people who try to fake their gait, they're catching them too. Like it can literally tell if you're faking your gait. So the technology is pretty bad, guys. It's like George Orwell, Logan's Run 101, right before your very eyes. Now, martial law, just so you know, OG do is going to be spelled MARTIAL, like martial, like martial arts. But a lot of people mistake it because of the Marshall Plan in post-war Europe. And so, guys, when you do see a brother or sister making typos or grammatical errors, always correct them in a way that's polite, because the number one thing we don't want is for our political adversaries and people who disagree with us to start accusing us of being dumb and whatnot. And so if you do see them making a little error like that, always try to have them fix it, because we want to make sure that we look like we're always the smart ones. Now, let me see here. And then Ralph Riley says the only pull I watch are stripper pulls. Well, that's because you're a biker, dude. Come on, man. I'm loving it. Yeah, martial law versus the Second Amendment. That's right, DJ Plast. So, look, I'm really, really happy that I had you guys all come on the show today. And I'm glad that y'all showed up. But I want you now to see with your own eyes what I showed you at the beginning. And that is the torture cuffs really are torture. And that these handcuffs cause all kinds of problems with people, not just psychological ones, and they can lead to you losing a hand. And same thing goes with feet. They put them around your ankles. I mean, a lot of these cops are real jerks, man. I mean, they become jaded, they become hateful, and they'll take it out on whoever's around them. And we see that as evidenced by the way they treat their wives. I mean, there's a much higher incidence of spouse abuse and stuff like that with law enforcement as opposed to other types of professions. So it's something that we all need to be aware of. So in the future, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one on the ulnar nerve, because I've had a client who got that claw from the ulnar nerve being crushed by a cop. And we saw that happen in Chile. I'm going to do one on a couple of police shootings. I'm not going to discuss whether or not I've been involved in any of these cases out of respect for some of the victims. But I will just show you some stuff that I have a lot of intimacy with when it comes to police shootings, tight handcuff cases, and then we'll get into ulnar nerve. And if you guys can think of any other ones that are directly related to injuries caused by or during the arrest procedures, right? Because we know, like, some people just had like a shoulder surgery and the cops wrench their arms behind their back and rip all the hardware out of their shoulder. So we see stuff like that happening. So these are the kinds of things that I want to talk about, because that's my area really of expertise. Just the state of mind of some of these tyrants, the way that they're just so abusive towards people. They'll stomp on your camera. And I have firsthand experience having been beaten up by a police officer after I asked him for a copy of his photo ID while I was loading my vehicle in front of my workplace. So I know this goes on, guys. I'm not just like one of these guys who just makes a bunch of stupid videos. This is very near and dear to me. And so that's another reason why I do this, and another reason why I supported Chile, because there's really no lawyers out there that are doing this, guys. And so as a result of that, you're getting information from people, or partial information that's not totally right on the money. And you're going out, you're getting yourself arrested, you're getting face planted, you're getting hurt, you're getting brain injuries. And then even after you're getting attacked and beat up, you're not following the proper procedures to preserve your legal claims against the police and against the government agencies that harmed you. So I'm hoping that you'll spend some time, you'll look at my private videos on my channel and try to sort of educate yourself, and then ask me questions as we go down the road, so I'm able to help answer any future questions before you go out there and put yourself in a situation where you could get hurt by one of these, basically, what do they call them? Road pirates, revenue collection agents, right? Revenuers. So let's take a look here. Now, Gloria Ad says most lawyers work with criminals. Well, that's true. Most lawyers do work with criminals, or at least a lot of them, or at least we work with a lot of people who are accused of being criminals. Now, me, I started out doing a lot of criminal defense and personal injury. I've always done personal injury because those are the lawyers that trained me initially. But having worked for the city attorney of Los Angeles, I did a lot of oppositions to motions to suppress evidence. And then when I stopped there and was a full-fledged practicing attorney, I did quite a few criminal defense cases. And I can tell you that I love doing them. I love helping people. But the problem is you can only do one at a time. And they're typically, it's not enough to be able to support a firm. So now I've moved into more of the catastrophic injury cases, but I do have people who work for my firm, or people that I associate in on cases, who can help with quite a few of these other cases that you might be having problems with. So it doesn't hurt to reach out to me. And the best way to do that is through BZ Watchdog. So if you need to get a hold of me and you're in Texas, reach out through BZ Watchdog. If you're in California, reach out through the michaeleline.com, my personal blog. Don't reach out through my law firm website. That's an actual law firm that I work for, even though it has my name. It's the Eline Law Firm. That's a corporation, and I work for that firm, and there are other lawyers that work for that firm as well. And that firm is set up to handle things like cases against Caltrans, bus accidents, motorcycle accidents. The stuff that I do on this YouTube channel, if I'm going to help you, it's going to be that I'm doing it because it's a personal thing that I'm going to help you with. It has nothing to do with the other firm. So just so y'all understand that, okay? I know it sounds a little confusing, but what I don't want to do is drag a bunch of lawyers at my firm into stuff that are more activist causes for me, if that makes sense. And I think most of the people who've been following me can understand that, understand a lot of my reasoning there. But now, Walter Cantrell says well over 50% of retired of law enforcement officers are domestic abusers, and I would say that's probably true, that they would meet that definition. But there, it's like anyone else. There are a lot of people who would never lay a hand on their woman. If I was a cop, I've never raised my hand to my wife or any lady for that matter, because I was reared up by a family who, Swedish, Lutheran, manners, you open doors for the ladies. My uncle pulled a woman's boyfriend out of a car who was beating her up in front of a restaurant. And I think he got some kind of an award from the local government for rescuing this woman. Of course, we know nowadays he probably would have been arrested by some woke prosecutor and accused of being a racist or something, right? But back then, that's how it was. If you saw a woman getting abused, or if you saw a woman or an old lady crossing the street, you'd help her. You'd put your coat down over the puddle of water and let her walk across it. But things, there are still people like that out there, and I'm one of them. And if you go to Texas, you'll see people like that. Give me a bunch of ones out there. If you support gentlemen who tip their hat for a lady and open a door for her and show her that she's appreciated as a giver of life, and that she is recognized for her differences, for her equality in her differences. Just like give me a bunch of ones if you support strong men who are willing to surrender their lives to protect a woman they don't even know so she can make it back to take care of her children. So those are the kind of people that I support. I'm hoping that people on my channel think that way too. And I appreciate all the ones in the sidebar. So let me see if there's any questions I can answer, and then I'll just move on to my day. Yeah, that's right. And I'm Swedish and Norwegian kinetic customs. My mother is Norwegian, actually, and a little bit of Scottish. Gillespie was her father's surname, and then my whole father's side hardcore Swedish, and then my mom, pretty much Norwegian. I mean, everybody spoke Norwegian, like North Dakota, and then the dad's side was from Minnesota. Yeah, so I got all that going on, and just that mentality, like everybody in my family just were naturally strong, where they could like literally lift an engine block out of a car. It's just that just natural from being hard workers, that European work ethic that we used to have in this country, where you'd get up at 0 dark 30 and keep working, and your wife would be at home and she would have hot water in the tub for you and a hot dish. And, that's how it was, man. And there's still a lot of people out there who would like to have that kind of life. And so if you're somebody like that, well, I support you, and I'm there to support you using my legal skills to be able to help you take that back from a government that is trying to erode those freedoms away from you and take your children and take your property rights from you, which I believe is wrong. So yeah, that's cool, man. Norwegian, Polish, and German. Well, all great characteristics. I mean, the Poles, strong people, and they have been, victims of communism. So they know firsthand what it's like to live under communists. Other than living in California, I think living in Poland during the Soviet Union is about as close as you can get to tyranny. Now, and Lenny Mowley says there's few and far between like us. And that's another reason why, Ralph Riley, I do the verticals, because more young people are doing the verticals. And sadly, when you look at my user stream on YouTube, it's like 45 and up, like 90%. And we're getting like 1-2% of the young crowd guys. And those are the ones we need. So I'm doing everything that I can to tap into that, because so many of the youth don't have hope. They've just been brainwashed by the public school system that they're either victims or oppressors, and you don't have any chance unless the government gives you a check. In other words, you have to be a permanent welfare check voter, and some politician is going to decide what's best for you and how you need to think. Just like out of a George Orwell novel, just like out of the Logan's Run TV series that all of us used to watch. And that's probably why you guys watch me, because you guys grew up on the same thing I did. A steady diet of John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, right? You follow me? Logan's Run, Doctor Who. We read George Orwell. We knew what the Bill of Rights said, and we understood how to read cursive writing so we could literally read the founding documents with our own eyes. So just think about that. That's probably why, right? Give me a bunch of ones if the reason you guys follow me is because you guys just think like me and you're older. But yeah, Ralph. Yeah, I think Ralph is probably right. Jeff and Ralph, War of the Worlds, man, War of the Worlds, and inner spirit demons. So yeah, well, not just police, but anybody who goes against, the grain of the creation, because we have a creator and we were created in his image. And when people start going against the creator and start, abominating the creation, they feel guilty about it and they start battling their inner demons. Of course, Ralph, that's just common sense. And I agree with you. It's not normal to want to put someone in handcuffs and torture them. It's like a fetish for a lot of people. And it's really, really disgusting to me when it's being done to harm someone. I could understand if you've got a fetish and it's what you want to do in the comfort of your own bedroom or discomfort of your own bedroom, depending on what you're into. But when it comes to just regular people on the street, especially over a traffic violation or a misdemeanor, we got to come up with something else. So that being said, I am a solution seeker as well. So if anybody's got any ideas to come up with a better way to restrain someone who could be a potential threat, I'd like to hear about it. Because I don't just believe in complaining about things. That's kind of stupid, right? We got to also come up with solutions. And that's one of the cool things that attracts me to the Delete Laws team and Team DLZ is they have a plan, like trying to win a governorship, trying to get involved politically, trying to make change, trying to teach people how to know the law without having to spend $1 million going to law school. So, oh, by the way, guys, for the new people in my channel, so I became a lawyer on the California State Bar Law Office Study Program. And so that's the traditional way where you would read for the law. I tried 3 cases to a jury as a certified law student on that program, did a lot of depositions and co-chaired a lot of cases and learned the law by doing. And then I wrote a book about it, how I became a lawyer, on my journey to becoming a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad, never undergrad either. So I explained in that book how I did it. So for those of you who think you might want to do it, I sell a digital version of the book. It's on the homepage of my YouTube channel. The very first video at the top in the description is a link to PayPal. You click on that and you can get a copy of my book. If you want to support my channel, do it that way, buy my book. I'm not asking you to. I'm just telling you, if you want to, you can. I'm not trying to force you to. But if you really want to support my channel and keep my wife off my butt, that would be a way, because I can show her that, hey, even though I'm not generating cases or working on cases, I'm doing something that I love. And yes, the kids are also being fed. So if you want to do that, that will be helpful. Now, let me see here. And then, support rights, not clops. I like that, F. Somebody by the name of F. That's a kind of a cool name. Kind of like Q. I guess if you want to name yourself F, you might as well live in California, because they definitely get an F when it comes to teaching kids about their unalienable fundamental rights. Now, well, Lenny says that I'm a great young man. Well, Lenny, I don't know how old you are, but I appreciate you saying that. I'm hoping you're 30. But based upon my following so far, I can tell I just have a lot of wise people who have seen a lot of terrible things happen in this country. And with wisdom, they've realized that the things that I'm saying are just age-old, priceless nuggets that probably were being said, back thousands of years ago by guys like King David or Solomon or, Tex Moses or whoever those Tux Moses, you know what I'm talking about. It just seems to be that way. Now, right, Aleister Crowley. Yeah, California follows the Aleister Crowley model, I guess. Right, Ralph Riley? Now, Kinetic Customs proved that the landlord made a verbal agreement, and that's a bond that they want. Yeah, so, I hear a lot of stories about people who've been very successful representing themselves, and people who've come on my channel and gone out and represented themselves and won, and they've come back, and I love hearing stories like that. So I want to hear stories like that from all of y'all. And I also created a series of videos for you guys on how to win your case in small claims court. So just to show you guys my good faith, I'm not just trying to get your cases, I'm trying to help you win your cases. And sometimes you can do better in small claims and not have to pay an attorney's fee. And that gives you an opportunity to have a couple interactions with the judge and see if this law thing's what you're cut out to do. Because if it is, there are ways you can become a lawyer in many states without a law degree or without an undergrad. And so you can do it, guys. Just it gives you an opportunity to kind of test your mettle and see if you got what it takes. Some people don't. Now, let me see here. So Ms. Pink Eye says, being from Communist-fornia, I can tell you they don't teach them about your pronouns and what you identify as. Glad my kids are not in school any longer. Yeah. So, I don't know what's going on. They're trying to pass, I guess, or they did pass the Safety Act, and that allows the public school teachers to hide the new identity they have made up for your child and not tell the parents. It's called the Safety Act because they're afraid that if the parents know, that they'll prevent them from coming out. They call it coming out. And of course, the public school teachers who just graduated from Berkeley are really, really excited to help your kindergartner come out and discover their new gender identity. And so a lot of parents are infuriated, and I get calls from these people all the time because even without the Safety Act, they were doing it in Temecula and Chino And so Chino passed a law to force the school district to start telling parents, what the hell are you doing to my kids' minds, right? And so Newsom's really infuriated about that the doctors' lobby stands to make billions of dollars from the sex change operations and the hormone therapy that will follow on all these kindergartners, and it will be for life, right? And of course, the side effects of destroying their endocrine systems, with especially the women with female hormones, and of course it sterilizes them. It's just astronomical. So basically, they'll be on psychological therapy and they'll be on some kind of hormone therapy all their lives. So like each child to the pharmaceutical and medical industrial complex for each one of these children represents millions of dollars per kid. And since it's going to be covered now under the Americans with Disabilities Act, because gender dysphoria is considered to be like a mental illness or something, that it now gets coverage. And so now all that money flows from your taxes to pay for, to have their boobs chopped off and all that stuff. And so a lot of parents are really, really upset about it. And they're fleeing California in droves trying to get their kids out of there. But that really is happening, guys. And I know this because I'm a lawyer and I get calls all the time from people wanting representation or just trying to figure out if there's a way what's the cheapest way to leave the state, if you're a parent, because they can't afford private schools anymore with the incredible taxes, the 50% or 50 cent per gallon gas tax increases. And now if you make too much money, they'll make you subsidize your next door neighbor's utility bill if they make less money. So it's, full blown communism right there for y'all. So, now Miss Pink Eye says, I remember in the 80s trying to fight for the rights of the LGB and now I'm regretting it. Well, look, there's nothing wrong with standing up for people who want to have their own sexual rights and not be, look, I remember in the 80s when homosexuals were getting beat up and dragged by cars. And, I'm a straight dude, but I always thought that was disgusting and unacceptable. And I guess the problem is there a lot of perverts have infiltrated that movement. And now they're pushing a lot of other things and trying to say that it's the LGBT community. But I'll be honest with you, being a Marine and having a lot of friends who are sailors and Marines, a lot of them are gay, and they do not support that rainbow flag movement. There are so many people who are gay who do not want to have anything to do with that. So don't assume that just because they're waving a rainbow flag that means that the overwhelming majority of gay people support it, because that's just not true. And it's misleading. So I support everybody's right to do whatever the hell they want, as long as they don't try to force it on my kids. And so give me a bunch of ones if y'all feel the same way that I do. Just stop trying to force it on the kids. It's parents' jobs to teach their children about all that stuff, not some school teacher that just got out of Berkeley who's, a political ideologist. We don't need that. That's not what schools are for. Give me a bunch of ones if you believe that. Now, so beyond that, here's Carolina. Carolina and Fort Worth said Texas auditors did back Chile. I don't know what that means, but everybody, I want to introduce y'all to Carolina and Fort Worth. She was recently abused by a scumbag police officer. I believe it was was it Fort Worth? Well, hopefully she'll tell me. I think it was Fort Worth. And I think his name was Kruger. And this guy has a prior history of being abusive towards people. And so, and she is a woman, and she's an older woman. And the guy basically did a judo throw on her and knocked her out unconscious. I believe she has a catastrophic brain injury, and I believe that she should be in the hospital right now. And I'm really almost upset that she doesn't have somebody forcing her to be in the hospital, because I saw what happened to her, and I do brain injury cases is a matter of course, and there's no way that she does not have serious injuries. And I'm really, really upset about what happened to her. And so when you guys see injustice like that, especially against a woman, as a man, you're obligated to stand up and fight for her. And that's probably why a lot of people come to my channel, because they know that's how I think. And it doesn't diminish in any way, shape, or form the equality of a man and a woman. It just simply shows that we respect the fact that you can give life and we can't. And we had a mom, and And we know that we're physically stronger as a general proposition. And we know that emotionally, you can usually wreck us in a couple of sentences or give us some silence treatment that wipes us out, that could destroy all the physicality a man has. And so if people understand that about the differences between men and women, we can probably be in a much better position than we are right now with all this crazy division. So, hey, Complying Borg, super good to see you. Hello. Complying Borg is always fun to have and hang out with. And yeah, excessive force. And yeah, everybody, thanks for saying hi to Carolina Fort Worth, and give her our love, guys, because she literally put her ass on the line just asking some questions like, what are you guys doing? This is a private parking lot. Why are you towing cars? What's going on? And they're kind of ignoring her. She's just trying to do her civic duty, trying to find out what's happening. And then this one cop who doesn't like her, who had a confrontation with one of her buddies in the past, probably had an association with her and went ahead and took it out on her. But for crying out loud, dude, Kruger, she's a lady, dude. You don't ever put your hands on a woman. I'll be honest with you. If I was a cop, I probably wouldn't be able to be a cop very long. Just something goes totally against the grain when you start, especially having a daughter. You just don't put your hands on a girl. Sorry, guys. Just call a female officer if you got to, but that's just where I draw the line. Sorry, guys. It's unacceptable to me. Now, man, I'm really sorry, Carolina. She says that she's got an appointment next week, but her ears are ringing. So Carolina, no charge, nothing. Have your lawyer reach out to me and I'll try to get you set up. I'll try to help you guys find a lean doctor, somebody who can help you, like a neurologist or a neurosurgeon. I think that you really need to get checked out, and you need to be getting like an MRI. You need maybe a CT with contrast. We need to get you to the best doctors on the planet. And give me a bunch of ones, guys, to encourage her to find the best neurosurgeon in the country, even if it means we have to fly her to another state, and encourage her to please, lay off the auditing for a couple of days, Carolina, and get some rest. We're going to be here for you. We're still going to support your channel. I can have Chili do a fundraiser for you while you're out of action. Just follow this advice. This isn't legal advice. This is advice from a friend. Now, yeah, thanks for all the ones, guys. I appreciate it. Now, yeah, Miss Pink Eye, that's right. It absolutely is appalling. And she's not a very big woman. I would say, based on looking at Carolina, that she's maybe she was 110 pounds. And the guy did I'm a judoka. I mean, the guy did a judo throw on her. And she wasn't doing anything wrong. So, yeah, that's another reason why I'm on this channel, guys, is because when I see someone doing that kind of stuff to a lady, it absolutely makes me want to just go to war. Like, eyes turn bloodshot, I'll start popping, well, you guys know, if you grew up in my generation, that just was not something that you did. It was like capital offense, Yeah. Like Kinetic Customs. Here's the deal. I think that Carolina should disappear, and that Chili and me and the auditor community should be doing fundraisers to help her be able to survive, because we know that she probably monetizes her channel, and we can help her make shorts and stuff if she wants to keep her channel alive. And we could even do guest appearances like I did on Chili on the Delete Lost channel until she gets better. But she's got a lot of reasons for wanting to get out there, and when you got a brain injury, that's understandable. But as somebody with a lot of experience, I know that she could end up with a blood clot on the brain or something to where she passes away. And she's just far too valuable to our very fractured community for that to happen right now. So I encourage you all to support her and give her words of encouragement that she takes care of herself, and that try to maybe reach out to Chili, and we can try to find a way to help support her. Because we are going to go down to Uvalde and help that woman who had her children taken away by Child Protective Services with Dick Heller. We're going to go down there. The Uvalde massacre, where the police refused to let that woman rescue her kids, so she hopped the fence and rescued them anyways. And then her payment was to be locked up, have her kids taken away. And now apparently she lives in someone's garage and she doesn't have her kids. So if we go down there, we'll we'll stop by and visit Carolina in the hospital and try to do a fundraiser for her. Anyways, other than that, guys, yeah. And Carolina Fort Worth says that he did this to 2 women at his previous cop job. Well, Carolina, I would love to do more stories about it. Maybe I can get BZ to help me cover it. Maybe do some public records requests and try to find out what's going on. I mean, your story needs to be told more. It's almost like it was popular for a day and then it just disappeared. But I think with Chili out, we can give it new life because it's not something that he's touched yet. So I think that'll be really, really helpful. Now, I did hear, guys, that he's going to be on a live stream tomorrow. So I don't plan on going live tomorrow, obviously. He'll suck all the oxygen. I'll probably have like minus 300 followers. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a day on tomorrow. But I do encourage you guys to go over to the Delete Laws channel. I encourage you to like and subscribe to my channel and hit the save button too. Saving is more important to me than liking and subscribing. Hitting that little save button, it's a really, really big deal. Big indicator that to YouTube and stuff that you guys really like my stuff. And but definitely make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down my channel. And then make sure to like and subscribe to Carolina and Fort Worth. Last time I checked, it looked like she was like around 90,000, which I think she got quite a boost from getting face planted. Not the right way to get followers, right? Not the way you'd want to get followers, but I encourage you guys to all follow her and like and subscribe to her channel. Very brave woman. I encourage you to always, always support the ladies and always support BZ Watchdog, because he was there on the spot the next day taking film, getting video footage of the blood stains on the concrete where her head was cracked open by this scumbag cop. And these are the kind of people that you need to surround yourself with, guys. That's why I keep telling you, create parallel systems similar to what the auditors have already created. The auditor community, a lot of the loyal ones, have created parallel systems where there were many people who flew to be there for her, like within days or a day after she got beat up and falsely arrested. So I encourage you guys to do that, not just for cop watching, but everybody in my sidebar. You guys know that I'm a lawyer. If somebody in your family has a problem, have them reach out to me. You know that BZ Watchdog has a company, a self-defense company where he sells self-defense products. If you guys ever need a holster or whatever, knife or whatever he sells, you should be reaching out to him. If you guys don't have websites that display what you do, you reach out to me, because I have patriot friends who build WordPress websites, and we'll find a way, whether by hook or by crook, I'll help you build it for free. We'll do a show. We'll do a live stream about how to build a WordPress website. The idea is, if you have your own business, if you have a friend or a family member who's a patriot, even if it means spending a little bit more money for shipping and handling, we should exclusively be doing business with each other. We should be supporting each other. You should be buying Chili's trifolds and his cop cards, even if you already have some, because you're doing it to support him. You're supporting the cause. You're supporting me. You're showing my wife and my kids that you're supporting me, spending my free time that I don't really have any of, because I believe in this movement and what you guys are doing. So that's all I'm trying to do. Create parallel systems the way that Martin Luther King did, and ultimately forced all the local merchants to start respecting the black shoppers. Well, guess what? We're the black sheep, guys. We know that our federal government is trying to paint people who support the Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights, people who purchase Bibles, people who shop at Dick's Sporting Goods and Cabela's as potential domestic violent extremists. We know that. That's not a conspiracy theory. We know that based on the March 4th report that came out to Congress, it was exposed that once again, the FBI is engaged in illegal, unlawful, warrantless searches of our data by trying to partner up with private companies to illegally surveil anyone who disagrees with globalism. In a nutshell, that's really what's happening, and it's happening in record speed. So how do we obviate this problem? How do we stop letting guys like Larry Fink and BlackRock dictate the gender identity of our children, for example? We create parallel systems, and we create bonds of friendship and trust amongst ourselves to where we don't have to engage in their systems. And ultimately, they'll be the people on the outside looking in, trying to figure out why they lost us and how to get us back. And that's what we need to do, guys. Those are just some examples. I've got plenty more. Give me a bunch of ones for Chili that we got him out. Give me a bunch of ones for BZ Watchdog for all the great work that he did trying to hold the government accountable and standing by Carolina and Fort Worth's side this whole time. Very, very proud of him. Both of us are former Marines, and you can sort of see in our do or die mentality that that's probably why we get along so well. Now, right, Brett Ray, we do. We need a victim coalition, and I have no problem helping create a website, victimscoalition.com or whatever, but I do need volunteers, guys, because I do this for free. Sometimes I get lucky and I'll get somebody will buy my book or they'll give me a super chat, but it's nowhere close to the amount of time and energy that I put into it. So any kind of support you can give, I appreciate it. And that would mean not money. It would mean volunteering to help me build a website, for example. So if you have experience working on WordPress, if you're a web developer, but you're also a patriot, reach out to me. If you have a business that has a website, if you're a journalist and you have a website, reach out to me. We need backlinks. We're going to need backlinks. You're going to need to link to whatever website we build. Otherwise, it's not going to rank and it's going to be worthless. So I need people who already have experience in backgrounds in marketing, but who also know how to write HTML, people who understand JavaScript and JSON, people who understand basic coding. They know what a div tag is. They know what an open tag is. They know what a close tag is. Got to remember, my background was in marketing. So when I became a lawyer, I already had my websites going and I was number one all over Yahoo and Google. And that's how I was able to get out to people and reach them. And one of the things that I did is I used to interpret the algorithmic patents with my buddy, Bill Slosky, who was also a lawyer. So I'm really into it. I'm really into understanding the algorithms, understanding basic sales and marketing techniques. And I'm willing to use all of that stuff to help you guys build a stronger auditor and First Amendment rights community. But I need volunteers. So I'm offering, if somebody's a taker and who wants to learn, I'll teach you the law, I'll teach you sales, I'll teach you marketing. I won't charge you a dime, but I need help. So with that being said, guys, thank you, Jeff, for showing up. And if Thunderbird wants to give me money to harass people, I'm sure I could do that for you. I'm not really good at harassing people, but if you want me to, sure, I'll do it. And especially if it's the opposite side of a lawsuit and I want to win. So Let's OTVO, BZ Watchdog, and Brick Jonesy. Yes, that's right. And Let's OTVO too. Thanks, Let's OTVO, for all your strong moderation and helping keep the community free of trolls. And of course, Brick Jonesy, our natural law expert, for coming on and helping me out all the time during this time. Thanks, BZ Watchdog, for the $1.99 super chat. Buy Michael Eline's ebook, he says. And again, if you do want to buy my ebook, it's only available through PayPal right now. I think it's also available on Kindle, but if you buy it through PayPal, my wife gets more because Kindle takes like freaking 90% of the sale. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's pretty good. It talks about my journey on how to become a lawyer with or without law school. And I talk about the different states that offer similar programs and about my journey, how to find someone to study under, how to study, and how to pass the damn bar exam, which is your ultimate goal, right? And then now Miss Pink Eye says she's not a fan of a lot of the auditors. No, look, I respect that. I'm not a fan of a lot of them either. And I don't like a lot of the ways a lot of them do their audits. But like Southern Law Draw said in his video the other day, when he was referencing me, he was like, look, Eline says I was supporting Chili, but I don't want to give you like buyer's remorse, basically, or a bait and switch. He doesn't agree with Chili's auditing techniques, but he agreed that Chili was falsely arrested. And that's why I say everybody go and like and subscribe to the Southern Law Draw channel, because those are the kind of lawyers that we need in this country. That's what I've been trying to teach y'all from this whole time, is that if you're somebody who just uses a personal grudge or something you don't like about someone and you want to have them locked up, go F yourself. That is not America. America is all about the obnoxious asshole and about protecting their rights. That you guys start thinking about what you're saying, guys. This isn't Canada. This isn't Britain. This isn't Germany, where they have the crime of being offended. All right. This is America. Grow a set of testicles and wake up. All right. And now, BZ Watchdog, thanks for another one. And BZ Watchdog, you're always, he's always calling me out. He's always calling me out because we know that when the police ask you questions, it starts sounding like Nazi Germany, kind of like this, right?
Where are your papers, Mav? Where are they? Oh, you don't have any papers?
And that's right. So thanks, BZ, for pointing that out, that you shouldn't have to be in a position where you're approached by someone and they start demanding your papers. But if you are, you have to know how to handle it. And that's what Southern Law Draw was kind of pointing out, is like there's other ways to do these audits. And I guarantee you guys, the Chili is going to change the way he does his audits now, because he's going to have to. He's already said that. So I'm not saying anything that's like a revelation. He said it on his own channel that he's going to change up the way he does some things because he realizes some of them are ineffective. And yeah, winning an appeal is wonderful, but winning an appeal after being locked up in jail for 4 months can be anticlimactic, to say the least. And so part of my job, being a public servant in my own way, definitely being someone who holds what I consider to be an office of public trust, being a member of the bar, I want to make sure that the people that I care about stay out of jail. You're no good to me if you're paying a bunch of money into a system and fines and penalties that actually hates us and our rights and in our way of life. So that doesn't help us at all, guys. So smash that like button. Thanks, Let's OTVO. And the tri-fold touchdown camera. I love that, Brick Jonesy. So again, my understanding is that Chili's going live tomorrow. Obviously, I'm going to be there in the sidebar. I doubt he's going to have any guests on. Chili never was really a big guest host kind of guy. He's always been his own man. So I doubt that I'm going to be on his channel anymore, but I will come by and always support Chili and his cause. And of course, if he ever gets locked up again, I'll be the first one visiting him, trying to get him out. Even if it's not in my jurisdiction, I'll do whatever I can to raise money for him and find him a lawyer and visit him and help him with his other matters, because that's the kind of guy I am. For all you Swedes, jag älskar dig. For SWE Observer, that means I love you in Swedish. And yeah, Chili's going to be live tomorrow. We're all happy about that. And Brett Ray, his guests are always wearing a badge. Yeah, well, that's good. I'm just glad that he's got people that support him. And so, everybody, I am going to go and grab me some chow. So everybody, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down the channel. Hit that like and subscribe button. And again, we never know if we're even going to see each other tomorrow. So God bless you guys. Semper Fi, do or die.